Okay, so I'm going to be spilling some major tea about China today. We're talking about the revolution in the mid 1900s, and all the conclusions I've made in this video are based off the book Son of the Revolution, which provides a very personal experience during China's political and cultural outbreak following the Communist Party's rise to power. So this was all under the dictatorship of, I think it's pronounced Mao, Mao, yeah. He did this through getting rid of the Four Olds, which is basically any political or cultural beliefs or practices that they had before his reign. He wanted them all gone, and he wanted communism in. Communism was the thing. So, basically what he did is that there was these people called the Red Guards that enforced all of his policies. People were very scared of them. They followed the Communist Party and the rules and everything just because they were scared of them. If you didn't, bad things would happen. They did things like they would beat people, they would raid their houses, they would publicly humiliate them, yeah. So basically you followed the Communist Party and Dictator Mao were it wasn't pretty. He also advertised through, it's called gazebos, I think, and that's propaganda posters, which basically criticized anyone who was against the Communist Party or doubtful of it. It was just criticism, and it was just advertisement, I wanted to identify how Mao started his little disciples very young, and got the communism rules and stuff integrated in them when they were in school growing up. So when you get to see this in the story, basically is Liang, which is the main character, his very first written word is Dictator Mao's name, which I think is pretty crazy. And also, in school and stuff, praise for good behavior was directly related to the upholding of the revolutionary discipline. That's a quote. And Liang even went to go on to say he thought of Mao as like the sun itself. So you can just see how all of this stuff just started, they started being taught this stuff at a very young age. They were taught in school to be excited to participate in the revolution. So it's what they grew up with, it's what they were surrounded by. So of course it was very easy for them to accept this lifestyle and how things were because it's all they knew, which did create a generational divide, I think, because the older generation definitely didn't grow up with this type of lifestyle. And so if they were even a little bit doubtful, they were actually, they were labeled, labels is a very big thing. Such as his mother was labeled a rightist, and anybody could label you as this, and it would get you in lots of trouble. So his mother was labeled a rightist, and she was sent off to a reform camp. So seeing that at a young age for him obviously wasn't easy, and started making him who he was. And his father actually divorced her in order to save the family name, which I wanted to talk about was very important to me. I do believe that in China it used to be family, your family name, all that was the most respectable thing about you, and it definitely shifted from that to be your commitment to the Communist Party being one of the most important things about you. So it was definitely not family first anymore. It was the Communist Party first. Which brings me on to say that since communism being the way that it is means that there isn't having classes was not accepted. It's not what they wanted. So, which is why intellectuals, businessmen, all those type of people who were considered higher in rank were targeted more often. And his father was actually, labeled a stinking intellectual, which was also very common, and had to go in the streets with I think it was a list of all his crimes. So yeah, that's just another example of public humiliation and things that you had to go through, and why people were so scared to go against the Bharati. But back to what I was saying, since they didn't want a class system, the only way you could technically advance in society was through acceptance in the political party. So you would start in the Young Pioneers, then move on to the Communist Youth League with the goal to be accepted into the Communist Party itself. So that's really the only way you could advance in society at all. I also wanted to mention, based off all of this, I think the reason Mao was so successful is because he did instill fear into people. And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and they also made it seem like the only people you could trust, like truly trust, were the Communist Party, and people labeled as that. And they even went on to assure a society that when enemies were uncovered, China would be much more secure. So their only society's only sense of security was the Communist Party at this time. And yeah.